How's it going? It's Rocky, your full-time stay-at-home dad trading futures for a living. Welcome to week number 17 of our trading journey in the year 2025. I did miss a few weeks of content. The last one that I did was week number 12. So for the content this week, I will show the weeks that I missed, essentially from weeks 13 through 17. And then earlier in the year, I was trying to release content through YouTube Live, so that way I could release it right away without having to edit. And I noticed that there wasn't a lot of views on those content, so that actually took the wind out of my sail. But I figured, that's probably just the YouTube logic not releasing the content because it's a YouTube Live, and I'm usually someone that normally doesn't live stream. So I figured for this week we'd go back to our original content. So it takes a lot more time, but I think it's better product, and hopefully you'll enjoy what I will be sharing this week. So I will break it down into 3 parts. The first part will be basically a overview of what I've been doing the past 5 weeks with swing trading. So I got back to swing trading. I'll go a little bit more on that. And then the last 2 topics will be the transparency of my trading. So I want to show the results just so you know where the numbers are coming from. So I'll show one part from NinjaTrader, which I am trading a self-funded live account, and then the last part is with Thinkorswim, where I am swing trading that could go, a couple days to a few weeks, and hopefully you enjoy the content. Before we get started, just a quick disclaimer. This is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. What we have up in the chart that I'm showing here is the MYM. So the MYM is the micro for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the chart that we have here is a 10-year chart, 1 day. So what that means is each candlestick is 1 day. And I'm just showing the overview here for the past 5 or 6 years. You can see that significant dip here during the COVID. And what I wanted to show was my trades, because I used to trade the micros a lot when I first traded futures. So micros started actually around 2020, if I'm not mistaken, either 2019 or 2020. So I'm gonna enable the show trades here, and you'll be able to see all the trades that I've done over the past 5 or 6 years or so. So you can see all of that, all the buys and sells. And then you can see around here, this is around 2023 was when I stopped trading my live account. And the main reason for it was I lost my job and I needed my trading money to be used for expenses. So that's when I actually jumped into funding firms, or was referred to as a prop firm. So it wasn't until recently, this year, 2025, around March or so, I decided to fund my Thinkorswim account again, and I wanted to go back to swinging. So right here, you can see I'm zooming in to right there. So this first trade that I had here was around March 18th, and I just want to point out essentially the type of swing trades that I took. And I do denote these by some vertical lines. So I'll turn those vertical lines on. And what it means is the blue line means that that's when I entered, and the orange is when I exited. And this is when it's a long position. So let's count how many total swings I've done here for the past essentially 6 weeks. Well, I know I'm only covering weeks 13 through 17, so I figured I'd do an overview here for the swing journey that I'm doing so far. So swinging is I am holding the account at least 2 days or so, and my plan is essentially hold it until the contract expires or when the contract rolls over, which happens quarterly. Let's look at the actual trades that we did here earlier in March. This is trade number 1. So you can see there 4 contracts, and then the next one was 6 contracts of MYM. So I like to pretty much swing with micros because I can scale in, and if it's a bad trade, then at least I can cut some positions a lot earlier. So that's another trade. And then another trade here. That's a total of 8 contracts. and then a fourth swing here for about 3 days. That was a total of 8 contracts. And then this last one here, I'm quite proud to. This is on week 17. This was a good swing actually, but I was starting to be a bit more conservative and I made a mistake on my exit. So I'll go through a little bit on this one. So if you look here at our entry, it was a 2 micros at 38,000. So the reason I'm actually swinging is because with the movements with the tariffs, you can see candles, 5-minute candles up to 1,000 points. It was easier for me to trade the micros because I can handle those swings, and also an ability to be able to trade on a higher time frame like this one on the daily chart and be able to hold it for a few days. So you can see with this trade here, entered at 38,000, and then I added another 2 contracts at 40,000. So a total of 4 contracts. And then unfortunately, or fortunately, I exited at 40,034. So that's a total of 2,000 points. So think about that. That's just insane to have that type of delta on a win there. Unfortunately, with this one, I messed up on my OCO. I had a weight condition that said only enable the OCO once it's at a certain level. But this past week or two, yes, I'll make an excuse. I've had the fever, had the flu. Now it's an ear allergy. And I just had my signs wrong and it ended up exiting the trade a lot earlier than I wanted it to. But maybe it's a blessing in disguise. You never know with the tariff talks. Maybe next week will be a whole new mess. But essentially, these are the swings that I've been taking. It shows you it doesn't take much to make decent amount of money. All right, so this trade on the right, I'm going to bring the calculator up so we can calculate exactly what it took for that trade, right? So I had an entry at 38,000 and 40,000. So my average there is really 39,000 for those 4 contracts. My exit was at 40,034. So 40,034, subtract our average of 39,000. So that's actually a gain of 1,034 points. So I said 2,000 earlier because my initial one went from 38,000 to 40,000, right? It's just that like I mentioned, I made a bit of a mistake on this push that I was making. But anyway, that 1,034, and essentially with 4 contracts were with micros. 1 micro is 50 cents. So with 4 micros, that's $2. So multiply that by 2. So this trade right here, which took about 5 days, this swing was 2,068 points. And again, that's just with micros, and I'm quite happy with that one trade. So wanted to run through that, sort of give you a high level overview of what I've been doing with the swinging. So let's see what our performance was by swinging on Thinkorswim for the past 5 weeks. So from weeks number 13 to 17. And this is the account statement. Unfortunately, Charles Schwab changed something with the account statement, which I'm a little annoyed with, but I'm going to learn to have to live with it. So in the past, they used to only have this cash and sweep vehicle, but now they have added this futures cash balance, which I guess has always been around, but now they make it a default part of the statement, which is a little confusing to follow, but essentially I'm getting used to it now. I asked them to roll it back, but they're not able to because they say this is now a requirement and a default if you have a futures account with Charles Schwab on Thinkorswim. And essentially, when you open a contract on your futures account, it would take cash from the cash and sweep vehicle. So really, we're just going to add up those sum and let's look at our performance here. On this one, I am showing today, Saturday, April 26th, and there are 2 numbers that we have to look at, again, from the cash and sweep vehicle and on the futures cash balance. So we'll add this as our ending cash for week 17, and we'll do parentheses there, $32,805.42, and then add what's on the futures cash balance of $2,831.65. And if you ask me what determines what cash balance stays in the futures side, I have no idea. But anyway, that total there is $35,637.07. So next we're gonna look at our calendar here. We'll go back to the start of week 13, and week 13 started on March 23rd. And this is something that I always like to do. So we can look down on the description here. It's just a way for me to show that during this entire 5 weeks, I did not deposit or withdraw anything, as you can see here on the cash and sweep vehicle. So you don't see any deposits or withdrawals, but you can see a lot of this note here, cash sweep to futures account and all this stuff that really confuses me. But I'm learning to get used to it. And on this actual futures cash balance, this is where you'll be able to see the actual trades that I took, the things that I bought and sold. And again, you can see here, I did not, deposit or withdraw money from the account. So I'd like to do this just for transparency's sake. If anyone wanted to, I don't know, do some forensic accounting and wanted to see if I was telling the truth. But anyway, we'll look at our starting cash balance there on March 23, as you can see there. So we will subtract from that total. We'll do parentheses, $25,961.58 on the cash and sweep vehicle, and then we'll add what our starting cash was for the futures and cash balance, and you can see there it is at $727.52, and close that parentheses. So for the past 5 weeks, quite happy with my swing. I was able to get $8,947.97. So that was just my way of combating the crazy volatility during the tariffs. And I am just that type of trader that does not do well in that type of environment. So next up, I'm going to go through the performance I had with my NinjaTrader, which is what I use for intraday trading. And that will explain hopefully why my title is as such. So this is our NinjaTrader account. This is where I do my intraday trading. So this is a self-funded live account. What's different with NinjaTrader is I can intraday trade 1 YM, so 1 E-mini, for $500. So if I did that with my Thinkorswim account, I would need $17,000. But the difference is with NinjaTrader, of course, that's just intraday. So if I was to hold it when the market closed and you want to hold it a few days like I'm doing with Thinkorswim, I would also be required to, I think, at least have at least 15,000 with NinjaTrader to be able to swing. So right now I'm just using the NinjaTrader to focus on intraday trading. So we will look at our performance here. So upper right, we'll look at the statements, and then I will go to the account balance history. And on the account balance history, we'll look at, it's easier for me to put this week, and then we'll put at the date of when week 13 started, which is March 23rd. And I usually just put March 22nd just because it's easier on the math aspect of it. Just the balances makes more sense that way. So essentially here you can see where the account was. So all right, so we'll bring the calculator here to look at our performance. I'm gonna go to the ending cash. So the ending cash here is $7,692.90, and my starting cash was $3,890.02. So that's for the past 5 weeks or so, and we'll look at that total. It looks good, but I do want to point out something. With NinjaTrader, it's not very clear. I don't have a good statement on the screen that I can show like I do with Thinkorswim. You can see this jump right here from 647 to 5865.50. The reason for that is I did deposit $5,000 to the account. So what that means is with my performance, I'm going to subtract 5,000 from that because I did deposit 5,000 to it. So I'm actually negative the past 6 weeks with my intraday account. It is what it is. That's why I'm doing both intraday and swinging. So if we look at our grand total this week, you can see what I mentioned earlier with our performance of $8,947.97 from Thinkorswim, and we will subtract our performance from NinjaTrader of negative $1,197.12. So for the week, or rather for the last 5 weeks from weeks 13 to 17, I had a total of $7,750.85. So a little over 1,000 per week. I think that's a good performance. I'm just happy right now that I was able to recover the 14,000 that I lost on one day in week 11. You can check out my playlist to see me go through that in week 11, and I'll also put a link above here if you wanted to check that out. But I'm just happy to be back on green year to date, and my goal is really to build up on it and hey, prove to the world that I can trade and make this a full-time living and treating it a business, and hopefully have more discipline on this. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful for those who are contemplating this career. I hope my examples are something that is relatable, and give me some feedback because I do want to engage more with those that have been following me over the years. All right, thank you, and y'all have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one.